Hello again, y'all. I am called Nolen-John Zander. Today, in this episode, let's talk about the toroidal field. The toroidal field is the electromagnetic field that you see around a magnet. If you put north and south on a piece of paper, throw a bunch of iron filings down, it'll create a field around it, as it shows in this thumbnail to the video. Now, it comes in electromagnetism, magnetism, and some strong electrical currents. So when we're talking about the torus field or the toroid or whatever it is you want to call it, there's an electromagnetic field around the item. Why I bring this to light is the heart or the human body also has a torus field around it. How strong it is dependent completely on your connection to the divine and your health and well-being. As it states in Habituating Happiness, there are several factors that come into play to create your happiness once you find your passion and purpose, once you understand that you are energy, once you understand what makes you happy and how to habituate that. So the heart torus is an electromagnetic field, is not the only source that emits this type of electromagnetic field. Every atom emits the same toroid field. The Earth is almost at the center of the torus, so it is the solar system or even the galaxy and all of the holographic system that we see throughout existence. So if we think of, let's say, an atom, and then we talk about maybe a small insect, and we say a small animal, then a larger animal, a human being, these types of things, the organic electromagnetic field that surrounds them all, and each individual one. So I mentioned before in a previous video about the interruptions of the toroidal field with other electromagnetic devices, especially the ones that are not organic, such as a cell phone or earbuds without wires, computers, other electronic devices that will actually interfere with your toroidal field. And if your toroidal field is strong enough, it can cause a significant disruption in these items. Some channelers and or other esoteric folks have reported that they have to swap out their computer or change out their computer every 6 months to a year, maybe even 2 years. They tend to die a lot faster around them. They contributed this to the electromagnetic field around them, or their toroidal field, or their aura, or whatever it is that you want to call it. Is it true? Well, yeah. It only makes sense that when you put something inside of a toroidal field, right, it disrupts the other item's toroidal field. Okay? So me having a computer in close proximity will cause an issue with that device and also with myself. It's a conflict, you see. The power that's associated with each item is a direct interference with each one. Scientists believe there is a good possibility there is one or only one universal torus, encompassing the infinite number of interacting holographic tori within its spectrum. We'll come back to we'll talk about the heart pretty soon, but there's some interesting macrophase and microphase expressions of the toroidal fields of the cosmos itself. Now, a larger torus can be centered, let's say, on Jupiter and its moon. Okay. Now the moon is we'll pick low. So Lo's volcanoes continually expel an enormous amount of particles into space. And these are swept up by Jupiter's magnetic field at a rate of about 1,000 kilograms per second. The material becomes ionized into the magnetic field and it forms a donut-shaped track around Lo's orbit, also called the Lo plasma torus. Right? You can see this, and when you do some research, you'll find it in the photos and such like that. It'll talk about it quite extensively. Vesica Pisces, right? The original by the artist and planetary healer Pamela Leigh Richards is quite dramatic. She has a depiction of the Vesica Pisces Taurus. There's another cosmic appearance. There's one in National Geographic, July 2013. The article on the origins of the solar system. There's a side-oriented Taurus represents the Oort cloud, or a collection of trillions of comets and millions of mini planets toroidally spinning around the solar system. This is basically reminded me of a Bentinov's Taurus, describing his model he wrote of the whole cosmos. It can be found in the Stalking the Wild Pendulum, and I think his other book is a cosmic book, for those who want to look a bit more deeply into that. For the piece that I want to talk about, for the first cell division, where this single cell becomes two cells, right? Use your imagination to feel the dynamic energy flow between the two cells as they divide. Use any two chakras to fill in for the cells. Notice that the energy flow and the opening of the toroidal field as the poles, or the centrioles, separate. Now find the balance of stability in the Shitara and the flow, or the Sukman, as the Taurus links your cells and chakras to the cosmos and vice versa. Then we explore the energetic shift from one cell to two, and then reverse from two to one. They develop some sort of flexibility in both directions. You find the Taurus and the Vesica Pisces. That's where it is. That's where we find the two in combination. So we'll build upon that in the another section a little bit later on. So most importantly, relax, smile, and pay attention. Let's see if we can astound you today. Now, we begin to explore the variations on meditation centered on the toroidal field of energy emanating from and pouring into the human heart at the ever-present stillness that underlies all movement. Centered attention on the movement and activity of the heart, including stillness, is a foundation biodynamic craniosacral practice. Now, this will help begin the awakening of the so-called light body, right? Which we then integrate with the sound energy body in the form of vibration, and the physical or the structural in the form of flesh, bones, water, organs, and cells. So the three bodies can function as a whole within stillness. Stabilizing the light body energy is the next and crucial step in the process of transforming the human consciousness. So, back to the toroidal field. We see it all the time in the scientific community about electromagnetism, where we're looking at creating a sun, apparently, on Earth, which could never go wrong, but we won't go there. The human body has the toroidal field around it. when something else comes into that field, depending on the strength of the field, as I mentioned, can have adverse effects on your toroidal field, which in turn, not immediately, not physically, not immediately, it does have a devastating effect on yourself. So how exactly would we strengthen that toroidal field? I would say 1, food intake. 2 is information intake. And 3 would be yourself and your self-talk, which is related to number 2, which is information intake. But negative self-talk is more devastating than information coming in. Information coming in can be shut off, can be denied, manipulated by yourself to say, that's bullshit, I don't believe that, I don't want to believe that, that's nice, but have a nice day, that's your way of thinking, that's not mine, get out. When you have negative self-talk, however, there is no rebuttal, such as, why does the dog poop on my path to get to the car? So I usually step in poop, let's say. The internal dialogue will go something like this. The ego will answer your question, right? And it's usually going to be negative. Well, the dog doesn't like you, right? The dog knows you walk there every day, but it poops in your path, just in the right spot. Not every day, but every other day or something like that. You step in the crap, right? Because you're not paying attention. But your mind will answer the question to the negative. Well, this is how your day starts. Maybe it started a little bit earlier and something else happened, but it's accumulation now, and before you even get to work, you're all ticked off. What the hell does that have to do with the toroidal field? Well, negative talk lowers your vibration. It lowers the strength of the amount of hertz that is flowing through your system. And I'm not talking about your chakras, well, I am talking about your chakras, or your morning coffee that has amped you up, that Red Bull that you had, or your vanilla frappa who's a what's it Chino thingy-mashitter you got from Starbucks that cost you $15. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the energy that you missed because you didn't do your sun salutations. The energy that you missed from not doing your morning exercises. You'd rather wake up, rush to the shower, rush to the kitchen to grab a cup of coffee and possibly a bagel if it's all ready to go, or you just skip that altogether to go get your frappa who's a what's it's at Starbucks or whatever coffee shop that's you make on your way to your employment. And then you grab a little protein box or a bagel with some crap cheese on it, and you suck that down thinking that you're ready to go for today. You did not take the time out to say hello to the sun. You did not take the time out to meditate, to find out what did you learn last night during your dream state. You didn't take the time out to say hi to anybody. You put the dog out every day as you usually do, sort of a subconscious thing. And now the dog is crapping on your pathway, knowing precisely, apparently, where you step. So it gets it just in the right spot so you step in that large turd. But if you weren't staring at your cell phone as you way out the door, you'd probably be able to see it. If you took your time a little bit more, you might be actually able to smell it. Knowing full well that you stepped in crap 2 days ago, you're just going to keep going about your day and do the same exact thing you did 2 or 3 days, 5 days ago. The toroidal field is an expression and evidence that you're an electromagnetic structure. You're made of energy, and your energy flows in that toroidal field. It also flows other places. We won't get into that just yet. So, what do we use to link this toroidal field thing to habituating happiness? Well, let me tell you stuff. No. I know what to say. I just need to articulate it. So, happiness is a form of energy, right? We've established in my book, Habituating Happiness, that you are energy. And the lower the frequency, the further away from happiness you get. So, in the book, Habituating Happiness, there is a chart that shows different levels of emotional status based on the frequency level from power versus force. It does not articulate where happiness is in that feeling because it falls under several different factors. Happiness is a loose term that as humans we use basically for joy. We say happiness to more or less mean contentness for the situations that we are currently in. It's more of a happier state than what I'm seeing on TV. It's a happier state than what I felt yesterday. It's a happier state than when Uncle Frank died and I was so sad. I am happier now than I was then. It's a comparative idea. I use the term habituating happiness to get people to come to the channel, but also to communicate an understanding term. I cannot say something like bring more joy into your life. People don't resonate with that. They don't comprehend that at the level that they would have during the times of when the Bible was, well, before the Bible was written, when they say that Yeshua has talked about joy and things of that nature. So, electromagnetism, energy, the flow of that energy should be consistent and continuous. When you take power away from the electromagnetic fluctuations, or when you take power away from the electromagnetic field, you have fluctuations. This is what happens to the human body when you start with negative thoughts, when you start with terrible foods, right? When you start with processed foods, when you're putting stuff into your body that is of detriment. Yes, it does satiate you based on your stomach not turning over and over again in knots, which is completely uncomfortable to some people. But quite honestly, it's only mildly so. And most folks do not understand or comprehend the difference between starving and my tummy is rumbling and I don't know what to do about it to shut it up. So I'm going to shove something down there so that I don't get embarrassed in the meeting that I'm going to talk about this other thing in front of a boardroom of 15 or 20 people. and I get up there and I start talking, or even if I'm sitting in the chair, all of a sudden my tummy starts rumbling. Now I'm embarrassed because my body is making a natural reaction. Noise of a sort. I'm embarrassed of who I am or why I did not eat. Why am I not prepared? Everybody looks down their nose at you to see that you're not normal. Eat well. Drink from a well. Stop putting stuff in your body that you don't need. Why do rats eat rat poison? What is the nutritional value of a Dorito? How much energy do you receive from the foods that you have been eating? A lot of people do not even think about the words that are coming out their mouth because they don't run them by their brain first. They're reactive to the world around them rather than proactive. They're not running their life, they're reacting to it, which means they're in survival mode, which means they're doing whatever they can to stay alive in that particular matrix field. Why are you not creating? You're not creating because you're not proactive. You're reactive. That person cut you off in traffic. You stepped on the brakes. You had a few harsh words to say. Maybe some hand gestures go up somewhere. But you reacted. What happened there? Did you drop your phone? Spill your coffee? Maybe you should have been paying more attention. A little bit more defensive driving, maybe. Oh, it's not your fault. No, it could never be your fault, but it is your responsibility. It is your universe after all, isn't it? How did you react? Why did you react in the way that you did? Did you have to react? Is that person a better driver than you are? Plenty of room is just uncomfortable for you? A little bit too close for your comfort zone? Are you on autopilot? Are you mindful or mindless when you get behind the wheel of your car? Are you upset at your children because they wanted a little bit of a different thing to happen in their life? They're a little bit late getting out of bed, interfered with your schedule? But you want what's best with them, for them. You want them to be independent. But yet, they don't conform to your schedule. So, what is it that you can do to fix all that? Do you want to fix all that? Maybe you should just observe it. How does that make you feel? How does that affect you on an emotional level? Because quite honestly, that's mostly the reasons why we're in this matrix reality, is to learn from our feelings. For the most part. But there are lessons there. What are they teaching you? Dog poops on the ground, you step in it, ruin your $5 million pair of high heel things. Doesn't matter, you got 300 more pair in the closet back there. But really, what is the problem there? Was it the dog is out to get you? Or is it that maybe you should stop staring at your phone and pay attention to your surroundings? Be more mindful of nature, reality, or the matrix system. Be more consciously aware. Instead of thinking ahead to the future, you're not in the now. If you're in the now, you'll probably be able to smell the dog turd. You'll probably be able to see the dog turd. Lest, of course, you have a ground that looks exactly like dog turd. Same color. No grass. Or maybe your grass is too high. Can't see the dog turd because it's in a field of grass. Can't smell it because the grass is nice and clean and crisp in the morning dew. And you just smell that goodness coming out the door. But if you're staring at your phone, you're not smelling that because you're not paying attention to it. You're not being mindful towards that indicator or trigger to your senses. All of that gets thrown to the side because you are not an observer. You're a reactor. So, toroidal field, what does it mean to you? Well, strengthen it by eating well, by thinking well, by thinking higher vibrational thoughts. So bring up the vibration to strengthen the toroidal field. I'm not saying that you're going to develop some sort of superhuman intuition, not at this level, but sooner or later you may, as long as you believe. Get out of the rat race. It is a maze that's set up for you, or for people like you, to run to the same corner every day, take the same right or left turn every day that you always take. You need to get to work as soon as possible to save fuel, to save time, so that you can find and spend more time doing a whole lot of nothing. Maybe stopping off at the bar with the buddies or the girlfriends, having a drink of club soda, wine, beer, alcohol, something of that nature, to develop some sort of camaraderie that apparently requires alcohol for you to get along with these people. Probably a lower energy, don't you think? But you care what they think about you. Why is that? Does it matter what they think of you? Do you want them to care what they think of you? How can you control their thoughts and their feelings? You can't do that. If I were to make you angry, if I was to cause you or say something to you that would cause you anger, that is not my feelings. That is me possibly stating a fact which you reacted to, and you have the feeling of anger towards that because you do not share the same sentiment that I do about such thing. What you did is you just gave me power over your emotion called anger. An external item triggered an internal emotion within you based on your memories, based on your upbringing, based on your brainwashed schooled programming. That's what happened. You did not observe the emotion and ask some questions such as, why am I feeling like this? Is he right or is he wrong? Is it the truth or is it a fallacy, or is it my truth based on my emotions, based on my memories, based on my upbringing? What is the answer to that question? What is the more likely answer to that question? Why is it so important for you to feel that anger rather than giving an individual the benefit of the doubt? Do you really believe that someone like me is sending out all this information just to piss you off? Probably get more likes and dislikes, actually. Maybe get a viral video on YouTube for everybody to cut down the individual that made those comments. Okay? But what exactly was my focus? What exactly was my intention to do that? Is it every human's intention to say and cause harm to others? How is that individual, how are those types of people loved? Is it to say that most humans do not have love or do not desire love and affection from others? Look at the ladies, right? Beauty is pain, isn't it? Somebody had to tell you that sometime. Or you've heard it from somebody. You put on a fake face. Physically, a fake face. You throw makeup on your face and you walk out the door. You wear clothing after a particular fashion. Some high heels make your butt look better, apparently, according to some folks. You put your hair in a certain way, your style that you care for. That's not you. It's not. You're putting negative energy and a false front on your soul. It affects directly your toroidal field. So what happens then when you come in contact with everything? As you usually would, depending on the strength of your toroidal field, what happens when your frequency has been reduced and your toroidal field is down? Things like dis-ease, things like cancer, things like the common cold, right? Why are you allowing that to happen? Because it's what you usually do, right? Programmed, brainwashed into reacting after a certain fashion. Why are we concerned about energy? Why are we concerned about this toroidal field? Why are you still listening to that freaking bald sumbitch? Everything is energy, and that's all there is to it. Match the frequency of the reality you want. You cannot help but to get that reality. It can be no other way. This is not philosophy. This is physics. Quote by Albert Einstein. Matching frequencies. When you match your frequency to a disease, that's precisely what you get. When you match your frequency to cancer, that's exactly what you get. It just depends on where in the body it is, particularly relating to the reason why you have the cancer or the disease. Is it because something you said? Maybe you got throat cancer. Right? Which chakra is it associated with? Where's the cancer? Where's the disease? Maybe you need to balance that out. So what is this energy shit? The web of energy is commonly referred to and named by humans as life force or prana or chi. It connects to a stream of consciousness between all atoms and particles in the universe. If you pay attention and take a look at when there's something of a tidal wave or a tsunami, there's not very many, if any, fish that get caught up on land. Why is that? Because the fish know. We call them stupid creatures because they don't have, apparently, the size of the brain that's big enough to comprehend this, that, or the other thing, according to science. And yet, they don't get caught in very many natural disasters. Yeah, if it's a tsunami and it's a freaking huge tidal wave that takes out an entire city, there's probably going to be a few fish in there because they got caught in the wrong spot. Right? But if it's just something that naturally happens, maybe a little earthquake here, earthquake there, everything scatters. Let's take that up with elephants. Elephants in India, they know when something happens when the earth tells them so. Subtle vibrations sent out by the earth that travel through their feet, and then they have a knowing of what they need to do to get away from the danger. Well, what are they going to do? Put up a wall? No. Only humans would be that stupid. We have tools. Let's fix some shit. Because God does not know what he or she is doing. Let's fix it, as we always do. We shall not conform to nature. We shall contest with it, which shall be our demise. But that's okay. We'll fight to the bitter end. So, back to the vibrational chart from Natural Self in the book, Habituating Happiness. The human body resonates 62 to 78 megahertz. Praying raises your vibration by 15 megahertz. Your heart generally vibrates between 67 to 70 megahertz. Right? Positive thoughts gives you another 10 megahertz. All of these are going to be cumulative. So the better you feel, or the more positivity you have running through you, the better you're going to actually feel. It's physics, like literally fucking physics. They know that cancer begins in and around 42 megahertz. And death begins at 25 megahertz. Disease starts at 58 megahertz. Okay? So let's say, for instance, there's some sort of airborne thing out there that we're all recently aware of. And let's say it vibrates at a certain frequency, because it literally does. It's scientifically proven. And let's say that disease is somewhere around 52 megahertz. Okay? So, and your toroidal field, let's say your toroidal field is like 50 megahertz. Maybe it's a little bit lower. Maybe you've already got a disease such as cancer. So you're already vibrating about 42 megahertz. And this other disease comes along, it's airborne, and all of a sudden you suck it in because, you have to do that thing called breathing. And now this thing gets into your body, which is already vibrating at about 42 megahertz. What do you think is going to happen there? So it got through your toroidal field, which would probably be something, what I would, lack of a better term, called some sort of shield. Right? Because your negative thoughts outweigh your positive. Because your frequency and vibration is extremely low. You're eating processed foods. You're eating Doritos. You're eating dead flesh. Right? You're eating things that have a zero value for vibrational frequency. The nutrition is up there, possibly, but it's all dead nutrition. Can the body process it? Yes, it can. It's proven. We see it all the time. The body is an amazing freaking machine. But if you have a Ferrari, do you piss in the gas tank? Is that the type of fuel that you want to run that Ferrari off of? What kind of fuel are you putting in your performance machine demanding unlimited performance, and yet it's putting stuff out like it's got problems? There's a knock in the motor. The temperature is running too hot. You can only run it for a couple of minutes a day. It overheats. Hot flashes. It doesn't run right. And you're contemplating these questions as you're freaking shoving a McDonald's hamburger down your throat. Why do I feel so terrible? That's okay. You get used to it. And you do. So the news tells you that there's this airborne pathogen that's coming at you, and they can't stop it. And there's only a few things that you can do to possibly subside it. So we're going to lock you in your prison called your house. We're going to tell you to run your air conditioning to cycle the air through, but you may want to close all your windows and doors. I guess the only thing they have not told us to do would be to stop breathing, because that would probably most likely prevent most of the stuff from getting into your body. Your negative thoughts bring you down 12 megahertz. That's a negative number. Minus 12 megahertz. So now you're thinking, one thought is, oh my gosh, what are we to do? Somebody else says something. Well, let's not go to work. We're not going to make it. Now we're not going to make any money. How are we going to pay the bills? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? I can't go to the bar and drink with my buddies. There's 5 thoughts right there. Are they conscious or unconscious? Well, does it matter? Actually, it does. A conscious thought is something you can change. A subconscious thought you cannot, because you're not aware of it. So by saying that we can't go to work means very many things. Well, if you can't go to work, what else can we not do? I can't go out, can't go shopping. Some people go to the gym, Well, I can't go to the gym. Now I can't use my regular stress-reducing tool because I need to go to the gym. I can't stop off at the gym later on. Maybe I got a country club thing going on. I got access to a spa. Maybe I got access to a steam room where I further relax. Maybe a hot tub. Something. Maybe I can't see my buddy who's there to spot me and take care, help me out when I need exercise help, lifting weights. Maybe my yoga instructor. I don't get to see them. I actually like them just to chat up a little bit, or just seeing them brightens up my day. Because that's the goal, that I want to be like so-and-so. Those are all negative thoughts now. They were positive, now they turn negative because you can't do them anymore. Each one of those drags you down another 12 megahertz. So if the human body operates at 62 to 78 megahertz, how many negative thoughts do you think it would take you to get from 78, which is the peak, down to a normal operating frequency of 50 to 42 megahertz? Maybe even lower than that, maybe 30 megahertz. Right? We're talking about 70. Let's go with 80. 80. 40 minus 80 is 40. 40 megahertz, that's it. Takes you down half, which makes you susceptible to cancer and all diseases. Unless, of course, you want to drop it another 20 and go straight to death. Positive thoughts. Silly, but effective. Positive thought brings you back up by 10 megahertz. But where are you going to find a positive thought in a fear-based media society? Where have you found your happiness before? Is it outside, externally, or is it internal? Was it doing the things that you do at work, or was it doing the things that you do on vacation? I suppose I just used the toroidal field just for a precursor to tell you to eat right, to think well, and to love yourself. But I'll take that one. Maybe that is the case. But still, the keys to your happiness are not outside. They're in. Since I've ranted on for about 50 minutes now, and if you're still watching, I will let you go and do your thing. You do have some happiness to find. So go ahead. Smash that like button down there somewhere. And push this out so I can tell people that they suck. Until they can find their happiness. So, kind of a double-edged sword there, I suppose. Why you currently suck now and why you need to find your happiness. And this is how you do it. But when people do searches online, they don't search for how do I find my happiness. They search for how do I get out of my depression. So if there's somebody that you know has a little depression problem or a big depression problem, maybe you need to push this their way. Anyways, find your happiness by focusing on the positives. Follow your heart, because that's the center of your toroidal field. Follow your heart. That's where your intuition comes from. Mostly. Sometimes people call it the gut, but it's along the vagus nerve, which is gut, brain, heart corridor, and also the prana tube. So it is all the same basic thing. But anyway, find your happiness. Be happy. Be loving. Be the person that you want to see every day. Because you do. You guys stay happy. Be happy. And until next time, this is Nolen-John, Zander. Sending you some love and some happiness, although it doesn't seem like it sometimes, with the 9 Elements Ministry. Good day and good life.